to welcome Mike Broker to this series. So Mike, just wanted to do a little introduction. As Trilogy's Financial Chief Strategy Officer, Mike Broker, CFP, understands the need to work diligently in the moment to build something great for the future. Starting his career with Trilogy in the beginning stages of the Great Recession in 2008, he quickly gained great experience helping clients recover and get ahead during a really difficult time. Author of the book Fit Financial Approach, he utilizes his background as a certified personal trainer to coach his clients and team members to great success, paving the way to his role as managing vice president of Trilogy's Denver office. Mike's desire to help others achieve their goals runs through all that he does. His current role as Chief Strategy Officer provides him a much larger platform to highlight the noble work of the financial advisor. So from overseeing the tools used for Trilogy clients to building out the path for the firm to innovate and grow, his vision and fortitude are ensuring that Trilogy continues to provide exceptional service and value to their clients. Additionally, Mike has his MBA from the University of Denver. He has been featured in local and national publications, including 9 News Denver, fiduciarynews.com, and Forbes magazine for his experience and insights in financial planning and wealth management. On a personal note, Mike currently serves as a member of the board of directors for Make-A-Wish, Colorado, to continue to help others achieve dreams that they believe may be out of reach. And I got chills saying that out loud. Welcome, Mike. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Stephanie.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's dive right in. I'm especially thrilled to have you. I love hearing about health and wealth, and am always eager to learn more. I happened to have finished school during the 2008 recession, and so I can completely relate to where you got started and your target audience. And so yeah, if you could just go ahead and share your story and tell us who you are, and more about what inspired you to do what you're doing, that'd be awesome.
Sure. Yeah. So long time ago, when I was 12 years old, I was in a car accident, actually. And that's what sent me on a path to both of these things, to both health and wealth. In my car accident, it was pretty bad. I was life flighted to the hospital, lots of stitches. I don't need to go into detail there. But in the end, we got a little bit of money, and I had a whole lot of back issues, which created headaches that I would get every single day. And what I found through trial and error was that my headaches would go away if I stayed in shape, if I kept my muscles in balance, if I kept myself, somewhat healthy. I ate well, I drank enough water. So I learned a lot about health just through having to learn about health. And then because I got a little bit of money from the car accident, I actually learned a lot about wealth too, and lost a lot of money during the tech bubble burst in 2001. Yeah, right. And then my dad introduced me to his financial advisor when I was about 16, and I fell in love. I realized right then I wanted to be a financial advisor. This is the path I'm going to go. And my advisor at the time told me to look for a certain kind of firm, and I couldn't find that firm at first. So when I got out of college, and a little bit before 2008, I became a personal trainer first because I wanted to learn the science behind all the things I had learned about my body. And what I found was helping people change their life in fitness is the exact same as helping people change their life in wealth. It's all about habits. It's about long-term. It's about discipline. It's about the journey. And honestly, it's the same thing. We all know that eating a candy bar is not as good for you as eating a banana. We all know we should save some money and not put a ton of money on credit cards, but we don't do it. Right. Because it's just not easy. It's simple. It's not easy. So what I've done is bring those two worlds together in my book, Fit Financial Approach, where I show how not only are the steps to success in both areas of your life the same, but honestly, a lot of the basic fundamentals of how the body works and how the balance sheet works, about spend less than you earn and eat less than you burn. They're the same things. It's
I
all
love that. I've never heard that before. That's awesome.
yeah. So I'm so excited this is coming out. I'm so excited. I just want to help so many people figure this out, because as Americans, we're just not great at either of these.
No, it's sadly true. Um, yeah, wow. So why do you think then that health and wealth are elusive for so many people?
You know, I think it's because it's not as sexy as it seems on the cover. You start thinking about health and wealth, and you start thinking about being a millionaire and having six-pack abs and all these things. But there's no immediate gratification in either of these. So people typically give up before they realize the truth and they see how this works. That it's, like I said, it's about the journey and not the destination.
Sure.
You know, like for instance, most people, when they first start a workout routine, will actually gain weight because they're gaining muscle before they've lost the fat.
Right.
And I've seen countless times people get so frustrated with that because all they're watching is weight, that they give up, when realistically, this is the process the body has to go through to get started.
Right.
And financial planning doesn't feel fun when you're paying down credit cards and student loan debt, and getting your balance sheet and your cash flow in order before you can really start saving. So people don't get past the first part, and it just makes it hard.
Yeah.
That's why I wrote the book, really, is to build a step-by-step program to teach people healthy habits and guide the journey.
Now, how are you planning, or how so far have you been getting your book into the hands of those people who so desperately need your help and will benefit from this book, right? When I was paying off my student loans, I didn't know you existed. How would I have found you? How would I have discovered that this was even a thing?
Well, and God forbid, we went to college around the same time. You took up the people in the quad or whatever to take a free backpack and get a credit card.
Yeah. Oh,
like,
yeah.
hey, free money. I'm going to go spend $10,000 buying whatever I want.
That's how I went to Europe.
Right. And then you find out 5 years later, you're like, wait, that wasn't free money? I have to pay that back?
Was me.
I mean, we all did it. So thankfully they can't do that anymore. They can't give you a backpack with a credit card. So hopefully that helps with that. But yeah, I'm really hopeful that my book can reach as many people as possible. Right now, it's not even out for sale.
Okay.
It just launched on ebook in June, and the book actually comes out September 28th. So it's available for pre-order.
Okay, cool.
And honestly, for any of the listeners or people out there who'd like to at least get a taste of it, there's a free chapter on my website, fitfinancialapproach.com.
fitfinancialapproach.com. All right, cool. That's really exciting. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So maybe if you could share with us, if a reader could take one or two, things from your book, what would you want that to be?
Yeah. So if a reader were to take one thing, it would be that health and wealth can fit into a busy life. Because, we all get busy, and and we look at this future of health and wealth as unattainable sometimes, because we're like, I can't add one more thing to my plate, especially being parents and having young kids and, building this life, and you have a career, and it's just not easy to fit another thing in. But the thing that I found is that defining what health and wealth really means to you is the most important step that most people miss. They look at society and think, oh, I should have this and I should have that. And what I keep telling people, and I say this tongue in cheek, is don't let society should on your goals.
Right.
Your goals are your goals. You don't have to justify what you want out of life to anybody. And once you realize that, oh, I'm not trying to be, a Marvel superhero. I'm just trying to make sure that I'm healthy enough to play with my kids and run around the backyard with my dog, and, all of the things that we normal people want to do with our life. And you don't have to be a multi-millionaire to retire.
Right.
If your lifestyle is a reasonable lifestyle, you can retire with much less than that. So,
yeah.
right?
That's That's good to know.
So when you go on those websites that say you should have a certain amount of money by the time you're 40,
Yeah.
that's only for that type of person. If you are somebody completely different, your should could be completely different.
Right. And one of the things I love about what you're saying too is just the positive spin, right? Because
Right.
a lot of people will say, okay, if you don't have this amount of money in your pocket by the time you're 40, they're basically telling you you're screwed and you're gonna, die working. And
You might as well
that's
not
not
even
true.
try.
So you're changing the narrative, right? You're changing people's mindset. It doesn't have to be this doom and gloom way of thinking, which is awesome. I think that a lot of people have I mean, for myself, I don't want to speak for everyone, but I think that it's a pretty commonplace for people to have this negative narration in their head about money if they don't have enough, or if they don't think they have enough, or if they're not keeping up with the Joneses, or taking a certain path, career path that definitely pays well, or at least on paper should, right? So I think that that's really awesome. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And what I
hope it
also love,
changes those conversations.
yeah, and what I also love too is like what Stephanie for sure. I want to piggyback on that, and Mike too, is that we all have this preconceived notion of like what retirement should look like, right? On the magazine, like playing golf, going on cruises and things like that. But that is not reality. And also too, like retirements with someone in the Midwest is completely different than somebody in San Francisco or things like that. And what I love what you're teaching, Mike, it's really knowing your lifestyle, owning it and working towards it. It's coming from a more of like an empowering place versus like gloom and doom, and like that's never attainable for me. And that's ultimately the message. If you're listening, know that your retirement and the vision you have for your retirement is attainable, right? Like that's what I'm hearing from all of this, right, Mike? Is that you just have to know what it is for you and then work towards it, because it doesn't have to be like anything else that we have seen. And I can tell you realistically, even it's running a business or being parenting or whatever it is, it does not look like the cover of the magazine. It doesn't.
Of course not. Of course not.
Yeah, no, I love the message that you're sharing, Mike, is like, yes, you get to really create the retirement you want, and like everything is realistic and attainable.
Yeah. And so along those same lines too, in talking about wealth, can you talk to us a little bit about tips on integrating health into long-term wealth, and into a busy life? Kind of like we were just talking too about, what retirement looks like for each one of us, right? It also changes based on how we treat ourselves health-wise, right? So if we're going to fast food places 3 times a day, 7 days a week, it's not pretty realistic that we're going to be skiing at age 65, in Aspen, Colorado. I mean, it's like, we need to be on the same page, throughout life, right? So can you maybe talk a little bit more about that? That'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and vice versa. I mean, just to piggyback on what you just said, the other side is true too. If you're having financial issues and you're not, you're struggling to make rent and you're worried about credit card debt and all that, then you may not sleep well at night, which is going to impact your health the very next day. And then it's just this vicious spiral down that just never gets better unless you just take a few steps and you get a little bit better. So some of the easy steps to incorporate some of this into your busy life is make your healthy habits easy for yourself.
Okay.
So, if waking up is not easy for you in the morning, like I'm one of those people, I wake up at 6 o'clock and I'm up, I'm ready to go.
Of course you are.
Right. My wife, we have 3 kids. My wife runs her own business and she wakes up like a zombie every day.
I'm your wife. Well, not your wife.
So we put our alarm clock on the other side of the room and put our gym clothes right next to the alarm clock.
Yes.
So we wake up early. We have to get up to turn off the alarm clock. And by the time your feet hit the ground, typically you're awake and your clothes are right there. So you put them on. And then we also work out together, which I think also helps.
Yes.
It's motivating for each other. And then, we invest money automatically. I always tell my clients, invest your money automatically. Make sure you're doing a monthly or every paycheck, put some money aside to whatever you're saving for, whether it's retirement or your travel fund or whatever it is. Make it automatic so that your easy habits are easy. And then make your unhealthy habits really hard to do. So I give an example in the book, but knowing myself, my pain point with health is I snack at night. I get bored. I'm watching Netflix or doing whatever we're doing. And I go like a zombie again to the pantry and grab a snack or something. And I just sit and snack, and I do it mindlessly, and I'm not even thinking about it. I'm not even hungry.
Right.
So what I do is after I get my kids in bed, it's typically around 8 o'clock, and now I'm heading down and we're going to, have our night together. I brush my teeth before I go downstairs. So
brilliant. That's
right?
brilliant.
It's such a small thing. It doesn't take any extra time. It's not hard. And all it did was make me think, oh yeah, my teeth are fresh. I'm not going to snack.
Yeah.
Because you have to brush again, right?
Right.
Well, and it's also training your taste buds have trained yourself to go, okay, I'm clean for the night. So that's it. Right.
Yeah, so you bite into that first chip or something, and all you taste is your minty fresh breath. It's like, oh, that's not as good.
Right. Right.
I love it. I love it. And literally right before I started your conversation with you, Mike, I think it's everything is this whole show is for me. Okay. Let's just say that. But I was just thinking, cause I sometimes make, I have my credit card, information is really connected to certain, apps and things like that. I was like, you know what? I should delete all of that, because making it hard for me, physically having to go get the credit card or something like that is exactly it. That whole brushing thing too, it's already hard brushing the first time. So why would I brush again after eating, right? Or snacking. So it's brilliant. It may be really trivial, but it's brilliant.
Yeah.
I had a client once take her credit card and actually freeze it into a block of ice inside of
that is amazing.
Right?
Yeah.
She took a Tupperware, froze some ice in about half of it, put the card in, covered it with water, froze the rest. Early in a block of ice. And she was like, the only way it can thaw is if it sits there. So it would take 24 hours or so for the thing to thaw out. And that was the only way she could use her card.
That's brilliant too.
Right? By the time it thaw, you're over it, right? You're like, I don't need to buy that dress. I have a million other dresses in the closet.
Exactly.
Right. Oh my gosh. Yeah. This show is just for us.
Yeah. So amazing. What else? I mean, in terms of how can we incorporate healthy habits, right? That is going to take us to the next level, but also weaving that into really taking our wealth to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I would say one of the most important things for health and wealth is super basic. It'll save you in both areas of your life, is drink more water.
I think we have a common theme today.
Right? If you just drink more water, stop buying sodas, stop buying all the things that are really bad for you. Yeah, drink more water. Honestly, what's funny, sometimes when you're thirsty, your body will make you feel like you're hungry, so that you can get water from the food that you're about to eat. Yeah. But realistically, you're just thirsty. You're just dehydrated.
Yeah.
So that'll save you on both. That one's easy, and anyone can do it.
Oh, it's challenging. It can be challenging, right? And especially, I mean, I have my bottle here, but sometimes I'm like, I'll drink that later. Let me finish typing this. I drink that later. I literally also have an alarm that will sound for me to drink water. And at some point I was just like, okay, this is not working, because I just turned it off. I'm like, off, Right. I think ultimately, I think you and I talked about this when we first met, Mike, that is really making that mindset shift. Right. So let's switch gears just a little bit, because all of these things are really tangible and actionable and super easy to do, right? Like freezing your credit card or transferring your money into a saving account on an automatic basis every month and things like that. Like the action steps are so simple, right? But I think that the challenge here is not having that motivation or the commitment to make those changes. So what would you say to someone who is really struggling? Like they know what to do. Most of us know what to do, but
Right.
how can they get past that and can start to begin doing it? Like, what is your mindset, like, I guess, wisdom in like that area? Like, how can you, what do you have to share so that someone can take that and go apply right away?
Yeah. So there's basically, if you read a book on habits, it talks about there's three different things. There's the ritual, the cue, and then the action, the reward, if you will.
Mhm.
And honestly, in my book, I highlight all of this within my habits section. And if you're building a new habit, you just have to create, okay, here's what the reward that I want. Here's the cue that always happens that can get me to that reward at the right time. And then the ritual is the thing that you go through. So think about, I need to drink more water. So your alarm clock goes off every so often to tell you that you need to drink more water. Well, that may or may not work because it's telling you exactly that, but there's no habit behind it.
Mm-hmm.
But there may be a habit behind is you have to get up from your desk to go use the restroom a few times a day, right? So you have to make sure you fill up your water bottle every time you go. And the first, I don't know, 3-4 times that you have to do that, and then maybe for a week or so, that might feel hard. Okay, I've got to fill this up. And then you might have a few times where you go and you're like, well, I can't fill it up because I didn't drink anything. So, I've got to make sure I get on that. But you start relating your cue to something that you have to do regularly, or at least within the amount of time that you want to do your thing. So say I want to balance my checkbook once a week. Well, what I do is whenever I have to take out the garbage, that's the day I have to balance my checkbook because I have to do it once a week. So it's on Monday mornings, I take out the trash and then I can go and make sure that everything balances. And I look over, now everything's electronic. So I look over my statements and just make sure that I spent money on the things I was supposed to and didn't overspend on things. So you just have to make sure your cues line up and then create that habit and do it for long enough that it sticks.
Right.
And how long is long enough? Because I definitely have heard of like the 21 days, the 30 days, the 60 days. So from your experience, how long does it have to be before it becomes a more like ingrained habit?
So as with most questions in financial planning and fitness, the answer is always, it depends.
Right.
That's
Because my next question was going to be, is it a different answer for wealth and then is one for health? So yeah, you just answered that.
I mean, yeah. So with the things where the cue happens multiple times a day, it takes far less time than something that happens once a week or once a month.
Sure.
If it only happens once a week, you could do it 1 week and then completely forget about it. So you have to stay with it for a number of weeks until it becomes ingrained. For the water thing, whether you're doing it multiple times a day, it might be a week, and then
Right.
you'll be going with it. Finance typically takes longer because there's typically less you can do multiple times a day in finance
Right.
as there is in fitness.
Yeah. Got it.
That makes a lot of sense because I mean, it's really frequency, right? Like when you're talking about how often you get up to go to the bathroom and use, or drink the water is frequency. And then when you're doing something once a week, it's not as often. So that makes a lot of sense. And no, that's great. And so what have you seen in terms of challenges working with your clients?
In finance or fitness?
In both,
Both.
right?
Or
Since we're
yes.
talking about both, right? Yes.
Yeah, the hard part is when a client is sitting across the table from me, they know what to do. They want to be on their best behavior because they're sitting across the table from the guy who's telling them what to do. And then they go home and I'm not sitting there. I'm not looking over their shoulder. I'm not holding them accountable every single minute of every single day. And so then they fall off and then they come back and they're like, well, I meant to do it, but I didn't get around to X, Y, and Z. So the hardest part is getting people to fully buy into what their reason is for being healthy and wealthy. You have to have that why, because otherwise, when somebody's not looking over your shoulder, you're going to fall off the wagon. Whereas if you know you're trying to be healthy, you're trying to be wealthy for a certain reason, whether it's for your kids or it's for your own longevity because your parents didn't live very long or whatever it might be, you have to know that why, and it has to be a real why. It can't just be because I want to look good at at the beach, unless that really, really, really matters to you. But if it doesn't, that's not going to be enough to sustain you when no one's looking over your shoulder.
Right. Wow. And that's totally true. Oh man. So overall, I mean, what would you say is, how has your work, transformed lives? Can you give us any stories that you wanna share or highlight, things that have just brightened your day and theirs as well, brightened your life and theirs?
I mean, whenever I help my clients, it brightens my day. So it's always a win-win.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've had clients in my office crying so many times because they just feel like a weight has been lifted off their shoulder.
Sure.
Just knowing they're going to be okay. And honestly, to what you were saying earlier, having empowerment and making this a positive conversation and not a, oh, well, you should have done this. How dare you not saved enough by now? And instead saying, you know what, we can do this together. It'll be okay. Yes, you may have to work a couple more years than you wanted to. Maybe you won't be able to buy the yacht you want or whatever your thing is.
Yeah.
But we're going to do it. And just seeing that relief on their face immediately, like, yes, I've helped a lot of people retire, but helping someone see that they can is probably my favorite part of my job.
Mm.
Yeah. And honestly, I want to work, Dee Dee, what we were talking about before, I want to work with the people where I can make a difference in their life, where if they don't work with a financial planner and they don't get good advice, they're not sleeping well at night because they don't know if they're going to run out of money.
Right.
I love working with all clients, but those are the ones that really, those are the people that I think I can make the most difference with. And honestly, the financial services industry has kind of left them behind.
Right.
When you have a minimum where you won't talk to somebody until they have $500,000, how is someone supposed to get $500,000 if they don't have somebody to talk to help them build the right habits to get there in the first place?
Right.
Just, to me, it doesn't make any sense. So I intend to make a difference in that area of financial planning.
Yeah, no, I love that you're working towards really closing that gap, for everyone. And it's like everyone deserves that financial planning support. And ultimately, we talked about this too. Like, honestly, there should been a couple courses in college that teach about financial planning, but there weren't any, right? Like,
Right.
and things like that. Even just to talk about the credit card and how that all works. I mean, honestly, sounded like all three of us learned it the hard way. I mean, like our parents did the best they could, but apparently, we need to really educate people of what it really means to build to wealth. And it needs to start like as young as possible. I mean, I have a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old, but I'm sitting here saying, wow, like there's so much that I'm still learning. That's why I said this segment is completely for me. Create reminders of like what I'm already doing, what I can really continue doing, or how can I up level. But ultimately, I love it, Mike, is that really closing the gap for not this financial planning. It's just not for those millionaires or people who are already making the money, but ultimately for people who are not making the money yet, so that they can make the money,
Right.
ultimately. So it's wonderful what you're doing.
And honestly, what you're saying is ringing a bell with me, because the ultimate goal now for my book, for Fit Financial Approach, is to get it into schools somehow. I would love to have, even if it's a 2 or 3 day program in a senior class, where I can just talk about how a credit card works, how does a mortgage work, how do you pay taxes, what does that look like, insurance, all these things that just nobody taught me. You get out in the real world and you just have to learn. Right? You just have to figure out.
Yeah. And it's like you're expected to just know through osmosis. I mean, no one talks about it. There are no classes. I actually had this conversation with someone once. I was like, how did you learn the word annuity?
Right.
Right. I mean, it wasn't taught to me in high school or college. I mean, unless I was, I know that it was if you went into finance or economics, right? But
Sure.
I mean, really, you're onto something big. I mean, this really can, change lives and start early, which is, the one thing that young people have, right? They have more time.
Well,
So,
and when you're young and in high school and playing sports or doing whatever, you're running around all the time and you're staying healthy and your metabolism's still so good, you could eat pizza every day and not gain a ton of weight.
right,
And then you get in the real world and you get busy and you're you're sedentary, and all of a sudden, if you don't have any fitness or nutrition or any kind of background, it's going to fall apart quickly. So I would
right.
love to get fitness and finance in that same class and just give them some real world advice, even if it's, like I said, a couple of days in one class. I
Yeah,
think we can make a difference.
Yes. Mike,
heartedly.
I feel like we definitely need to continue our conversation because this really is hitting home for me too. And, this is yeah, like this is a movement. I mean, ultimately, there's so much financial planning, like when you've already made it, or financial planning when you're, an older adult. But we need to be able to teach this kind of information when they're just in grade school, because they need to understand,
Well, and they're the ones being marketed all the wrong information. They're being
Yes.
marketed all the marvel bodies of these people that are totally not achievable by the normal person. They're
Right.
being marketed, you should own this huge house with all these fancy cars and you should want a Mercedes when you're, fresh out of college. All these things that just, they're not realistic for most Americans.
Right.
And again, don't let society and these marketers tell you what you should want.
Right. Because then it also sets people up. It makes people feel like failures when that's the furthest thing from the truth.
Exactly. And
We're
then they don't
all-
even get started.
Right. 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 Oh man, I can't wait for your book to come out. I am so excited. I am so excited. So tell us again how to find you, how to find the book. You said that people can go ahead and sign up to pre-order. Is that correct?
Yes, so the book is for sale wherever you buy books. It's on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Books A Million. It's all over the place.
Okay.
And you can pre-order it now. This actually, if you read on an e-reader, it is available already on Amazon. So you can get it for your Kindle already. And you can find me at www.fitfinancialapproach.com. You can go download one of the very first chapters in the book to kind of get a feel for it, to see if it's right for you. And I would love to hear from you. You can sign up for my mailing list there. You can get in contact. If you need a financial advisor, you can click on there and it'll take you to the website where you can find a financial advisor. I'm hoping, and there's also resources on my website you can use for a debt calculator to see how to pay off your debt. There's a Fit Financial worksheet that's coming soon that you can put in some of your financial information. It'll spit out your top ratios for financial advising to tell you kind of where you stand. Because what I hear the most, especially in people who are kind of mid-career and getting started but feel like they're behind, they just want to know where they are.
Right.
And zero idea to say, okay, where's the scoreboard? Where do I know where I'm at right now? So I tried to give somewhat easy tools that people can use to just know where they are in the playing field.
Right.
All of that's on my website, and you can find, there's the book cover.
Nice.
You can find that wherever books are sold. And September 28th, it all launches, and I can't wait to hopefully impact the world.
Awesome.
Well, we're behind you. I'm so excited for you. And thank you for doing what you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mike, for all that you are and all that you do. I definitely fell in love with your mission the moment we first met, and just knowing that for sure. I mean, I have a Fit to Profit brand, and ultimately I do honestly believe in, being healthy first, right? And then creating the wealth that we deserve. And so thank you again so much for your time, for what you do. And thank you. And congratulations on your book. And I'm really excited to pass on this information and just allow people to really get to know you, and together collectively we can make the difference that we're meant to make in the world. So thank you so much for your time today, Mike.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you, and I love what you're doing. I love helping the entrepreneur and helping people be healthy so that they can be wealthy. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you
Thanks so much. All right, Mike.